Hey everybody, how's it going? It's a Daily Shooter, and today we're going to be taking a look at one of the most advanced long-range scopes on the market today. This thing actually has built-in internal Bluetooth that will connect to a rangefinder. You input your ballistic data, range your target, and this thing will digitally illuminate exactly where your holdover is supposed to be. It also has internal sensors that will tell you whether or not you are off to the left or right and keep you balanced. It's just got so much to offer, it's absolutely incredible. So today we're going to take a look at the Sig BDX. Okay, so the Sig Sauer BDX 4.5 to 14 by 44 millimeter scope. Absolutely incredible how much technology they've packed into this thing. Now, if you guys want a little bit more magnification, I believe they have a 6.5 to 20 as well. So if you want to be able to take those longer shots a little bit easier, get some better magnification on it, you can go all the way up to 20 power with this setup. Now, I wanted to lead off this video by first talking about the value, because surprisingly, this thing is a really good value given everything that it can do. Now, usually when I review scopes, and I've reviewed dozens of scopes in the past, where each little set of technology that's added to the scope usually raises the price dramatically, and in most cases it just takes it right out of the price range of your average consumer. This one right here, they've packed everything together, and I've seen it go on average for about $7.99 retail. But you're looking at the scope thinking, okay, it's 800 bucks for a scope, but this actually comes as a combo. So you get the scope, which has the built-in Bluetooth, and then as part of the combo, you also get this Sig Sauer rangefinder. This rangefinder also has built-in Bluetooth, and they communicate with each other. So it's, like I was saying, it's a good value. You know that, rangefinders, a standard rangefinder anywhere from 100 bucks all the way up to a few $100 for a rangefinder, and then a scope with this much technology usually goes for well over $1,000. So to get both again for around 800 bucks is absolutely incredible to me. So now let's talk about some of the features, the details, the specs and stuff like that you guys might be interested in, and we'll also talk about my experience with it. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about some of those tech specs and features. Now, like I was saying before, this is a 4.5 to 14 power scope with a 44 millimeter objective. It does have a 30 millimeter tube diameter, so if you're going to be looking for rings for this, you want to get those 30 millimeter rings. Now, this does have fully multi-coated anti-reflective HD lenses, and I got to be honest, the glass clarity on this is on par with scopes that cost 3 times as much. Very nice edge-to-edge clarity, great light transmission, color clarity is excellent. It's really a nice scope. So you get the fully multi-coated lenses. One thing I'd like to point out though is that this thing is actually completely waterproof. And when I say waterproof, I don't mean just, water hitting it, somebody dropping a bucket of water on it or something like that. They say that this thing is actually submersible up to 1 meter, which is great for both tactical side of things and the hunting side of things, because if you're going to be walking, you accidentally drop it, in a puddle that's 5 or 6 inches deep, you don't have to worry about the water starting to encroach on the scope, because again, it is submersible waterproof up to 1 meter. So I thought that was great. This particular one right here is MOA. It's got quarter MOA clicks, and it has turret caps on it. Now, to be honest with you, the first day I had this thing, I lost one of the caps. So I've only had one of these caps since day one, but they are lockable turrets, and so you can always go back to your original zero very easy with these. So these are quarter MOA clicks. They're very nice. Underneath the cap, which is a nice cap, it has a little bit of knurling to help you get it on and off. But underneath that cap, you also have some more aggressive knurling on the turret itself. Got our little hash marks, which are pretty easy to read, and whatever information you need on there. But the actual turret themselves are kind of low profile, and if I put the cap on top so you guys can get a better perspective, you can see the caps are also pretty well low profile as well. So we'll go ahead and we'll flip this thing around, and we'll talk about the knobs that are on the other side, because that's kind of where a lot of our technology comes into play. Now on this side of the scope, we have a lot going on. We have a knob that does stick out about an inch. It does have our battery compartment located in the front right here. It uses a standard CR2032 battery, and as a matter of fact, this thing gets about 20,000 hours of battery life, which is really impressive, especially for a scope like this, and that's including using the Bluetooth. So if you have the Bluetooth connected to your rangefinder and the scope and everything are communicating with each other, you're still looking at about 20,000 hours. So again, really impressive off that CR2032. Behind that, we have our brightness level adjustment. That'll take us all the way up to 10 times brightness. So 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 10 times brightness. And then we have an off switch right there. Behind that is where you're going to find your parallax setting, all the way from 50 yards to infinity if you need to adjust your parallax. And so again, everything that you need to operate the brightness and stuff like that is going to be located on this side. Now, what's interesting is on the ring of this scope, there is kind of like this little throw lever, which let me go ahead and turn this to the top so you guys can see it. So it looks sort of like a small throw lever, and it works just like a throw lever. I mean, it's there to give you a little bit of extra support when you're turning this thing. It's a little bit stiff, but there is a small blue light in there, and when you turn the scope on, that blue light will start flashing, letting you know that it is ready to pair with your rangefinder. So you actually have a little blue light in here that'll flash. It'll become solid when it's paired, and you can see looking down whether or not you're actually paired with the rangefinder itself. So the blue light kind of emits to this direction right here. So again, the fact that you get 20,000 hours with Bluetooth and all this extra stuff is just absolutely amazing to me. Okay, so now let's go ahead and talk about the technology that's built into this scope. And I'm not just talking about the Bluetooth. The Bluetooth is nice, but the Bluetooth is just the way that it communicates between all of these different devices to get the perfect shot. We're also going to talk about the reticle, because the reticle is kind of like the end game of all this technology. Now, with the BDX, there's also a BDX app. BDX stands for Ballistics Data Exchange. When you open up the app, you'll see sections for pairing, profiles, so you can load your custom profiles for whatever ammunition that you're using, rangefinder, sights, and support. Now, the nice thing is you can load all these different profiles so that you can select a profile, whether you're somebody who reloads and you have all your ballistic data available to you that you can input into the phone, or you're somebody who can just get it off the side of the box for the most part. You can go ahead and input that here as well. So you go ahead, you put that information in there, you go ahead and select which round you're going to be using, and then that will communicate with your rangefinder, and then you go ahead, you range out your target. That communicates with the scope, and then the scope tells you exactly where your holdover is going to be. There is also an auto level feature in the scope that has basically two small orange LEDs on either side, and if you're leaning over to one side or the other, it will illuminate that side to let you know exactly where you're leaning. Once you have the scope perfectly level, and this is going to be better for those really long range shots, if you're going to be reaching out past 1,000 yards, having your scope perfectly level is extremely important. And so once you have the scope perfectly level, then both of those lights deactivate. They let you know that you're level, and you can go ahead and take your shot. But all of this comes out of the same scope, so it's really interesting. So if you're somebody who's, let's say you're using a 175 grain Sierra Match King bullet for a 308, you have all your ballistic data. You take this, boop, hit it out 400 or 500 yards, whatever you're shooting at. The reticle has these hash marks, okay, and they're vertical hash marks that come down from a center orange dot. So you have a center orange dot that's basically always there when you're, not ranging anything out. When you range it out, if your holdover goes down to the next hash mark, the little center dot will actually disappear, and it will illuminate only that second hash mark, so that you can go up to that hash mark, take your shot, and I can tell you that it works flawless. It is absolutely incredible how this thing comes together with all that information. Most of the information that I inputted, because I don't reload, came from the boxes and from watching YouTube videos where people do velocity testing and stuff like that. So I can input the bullet weight, the caliber, and then the velocity based off of other people's data, and it worked perfect. Now, once you have everything sighted in, you hit this and you take your shot, you're good to go. You can go ahead and just simply rearrange it to something else. So you don't have to worry about resetting anything, re-zeroing anything. All you have to do is just basically, you say you want to go from 400 to 800, just go ahead and rearrange it to 800 and it will readjust for your drop. Now, another thing I thought was really interesting about this scope is, and this is going to be perfect for hunters, okay, especially for hunters, if the bullet and the cartridge, the velocity, and all the ballistic data that you gave to this scope, if it will not give you a clean shot, so if you're not able to take your target down at a specific range, let's say you range it out to 1,200 yards, and maybe it's just too far for that cartridge, this will actually give you a red indicator letting you know that you will not have a clean shot with the cartridge that you're using. So it will give you a heads up that, you know what, you've kind of exceeded the ballistics for this particular cartridge. So again, auto level, hash marks that drop on their own without having to touch anything. A nice little center, it looks like maybe a half MOA dot in the center right there. But again, even if you don't turn this thing on, it's got really nice crosshairs, and again, ballistic drop reticle that is in black. So you don't need a battery in order to use this. You don't have to use the illumination if you don't want to. You can use it as a traditional scope. But again, with all that built in, it just blows me away. All right, now let's talk a little bit about the rangefinder that comes in the kit. Rangefinders are one of those things where they can get a little iffy. I mean, there's some really cheap rangefinders out there that would not even be all that great for golf. And then you get some rangefinders out there that are incredible, but they're ridiculously expensive. Keep in mind that this entire kit right here, again, I see it on average come in at under $800, so it's a really good deal. Now, this rangefinder is extremely nice. This is a 6x22 or 6x22 rangefinder, which means it has a 6-power magnification, so you can go ahead and reach out and see your targets. Very nice and clear, very responsive. It does have adjustable illumination on it so that you can, see it even out in the bright sunny day, and you could tone it down if it's, cloudy, overcast, you just don't want that brightness. It does have really nice brightness level adjustments, and it also has an adjustable reticle. So you can change the reticle options on here just to get a more fine and precise shot at your target and see exactly what you're getting a reflection of, and not just hoping that you're actually hitting the exact same thing, because we all know that a man-sized target at 800 yards is going to be fairly small, so adjusting that reticle is a really nice option. So again, 6x22, and very nice. I got to say, I've used this quite a bit, and the rangefinder on here is pretty quality. This is the Sig Sauer Kilo 6x22. So all in all, I gotta say this is a great scope. I mean, even if you don't use the technology, it is a fantastic scope just on its own. But again, the fact that it's a good value, being that you get the rangefinder and you get all the technology that's built into it, it's really hard to beat. Now, if you're afraid of the technology, I'd tell you, it does take a little bit of time to learn how to get everything together. You gotta pair this stuff and, put in your bullet profiles and so forth, but once you get past that, you're done. If you have all your profiles loaded and everything's paired, you don't have to worry about doing it multiple times. They're already paired. The profiles are already in there. You simply select the profile that you want and you get on with your day. So once you get over that initial phase, it does become kind of, second nature to use this system. It does seem a little bit overwhelming and kind of daunting at first, but afterwards, again, like I was saying, once you've inputted everything, you don't have to input it every single time. It's just inputted that one time and you're good to go. But again, if you don't want to use that technology just on its own, I think it is a really nice scope and excellent value. And the fact that you get a rangefinder and a scope like this for under $800 is a pretty good deal. Now, again, like I was saying, you can go to my website, thedailyshooter.com, because I cannot post links directly to this stuff here on YouTube. But if you go over to my website, you'll find this exact same video over there. And in that description, I'll have any links, discount codes, coupons, or anything like that for this optic that you guys can find. I think it's a good resource for a lot of other stuff too. So if you want to head over to the website and see what I have going on over there, I'd really appreciate it. So again, the Sig BDX 4.5 to 14 by 44 millimeter scope. Pretty cool. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and have a great day.